The Montblanc pen hovered over the signature line. Derek's hand, the one that wore the Rolex I'd given him for closing his first $1 million deal, trembled slightly. "Just sign it, Mira." His voice carried that edge I'd heard increasingly over the past year. Impatience wrapped in condescension. "You're dragging this out." 3:17 p.m. Tuesday. The conference room at Sterling and Hayes law firm smelled like leather and old money. Across from me, Derek sat beside Vanessa, 24, marketing consultant, the woman he'd introduced at our anniversary party as his strategic partner. That had been 4 months ago. I'd stood there in my grandmother's pearls and a dress from Nordstrom Rack, watching them laugh at inside jokes while our guest pretended not to notice. "The settlement is more than fair," Vanessa said, examining her gel manicure. "French tips. Flawless. Derek's being generous, considering you never contributed anything to his success." I said nothing. My hands rested in my lap, fingers interlaced. The blazer I wore had a small stain on the cuff, coffee from this morning. I hadn't bothered to change it. But let me take you back. 8 weeks ago. That's when the final crack appeared. 8 weeks earlier, the rejection letter sat on Derek's home office desk. I found it at 11:47 p.m. after working a double shift at the nonprofit where I'd been volunteering. That's what Derek thought I did 3 days a week. Sterling Tower Project. Proposal declined, Mr. Hartley. After careful consideration, the board has decided to move forward with another firm. Your vision, while ambitious, does not align with the project's core values or budgetary requirements. I knew Derek had spent 6 months on that pitch. The Sterling Tower development, luxury condos, street-level retail, a boutique hotel. It would have been his signature project, the deal that made him a major player. My phone buzzed. "Derek, at midnight. Don't wait up. Celebrating with the team. Big news coming." There was no big news. There was rejection and shame and Derek's inability to admit failure. I set the letter back exactly as I'd found it. 2 days later, he came home at 2 a.m., smelling like whiskey and Vanessa's perfume. Something expensive, woody, with vanilla notes. "Mira." He leaned against the doorframe of our bedroom. "We need to talk about us." I sat up. "Okay. You're not enough anymore. You don't understand my world. The pressure, the stakes." He loosened his tie. "Vanessa gets it. She's ambitious. Hungry. She makes me better." "I see. That's it. I see." He laughed, bitter. "This is what I'm talking about. No fire. No passion. You're content working at that nonprofit for nothing, wearing clothes from outlets, driving that ancient Honda." The Honda was 12 years old. It ran perfectly. I'd paid cash for it. "You want me to be different? I want you to be something. Right now, you're just there, in the background. You were fine when I was nobody, but Mira, I'm going places. I need someone who can keep up." He filed for divorce the next morning. 3 weeks later, Derek brought Vanessa to our mediation session. She sat beside him, hand on his knee, wearing a cream Chanel suit. "Mira," Derek slid a folder across the table. "I'm offering you $40,000. That's more than fair for 6 years of marriage, considering you have no career, no assets, no real earning potential." His attorney, Mitchell Barnes, sharp suit, sharper eyes, nodded. "My client is being exceedingly generous, Miss Chun. Most courts would award far less given the circumstances." "What circumstances?" I asked quietly. "You're unemployed. No property in your name. No investments. You've been completely dependent on Mr. Hartley's income." Mitchell steepled his fingers. "Frankly, you should accept before he reconsiders." Vanessa leaned forward. "Derek's on the verge of massive deals. He doesn't need dead weight holding him back. Take the money and move on with your life." I looked at Derek. Really looked at him. The man I'd loved since college. Who'd worked in my father's firm as an intern. Who'd pitch me ideas over cheap takeout while we dreamed about the future. "What massive deals?" I asked. He smiled. The confident smile that had charmed investors, clients, me. "I can't discuss specifics, but let's just say the Sterling Tower project is back on the table. Different angle, better terms. It's going to change everything. Congratulations." "See?" Vanessa touched his arm. "She doesn't even care about your success. I told you, she never believed in you like I do." The mediator cleared his throat. "Ms. Chun, do you have representation?" "Not yet. I'd strongly advise you to retain counsel before. I'll sign today." I looked at Derek. "But I have one question first. The Sterling Tower project. Who approved it?" Derek's smile widened. Board voted yesterday. Unanimous approval. Vanessa's marketing strategy sealed it. The board, I repeated. Sterling Properties Holdings. Top-tier development company. This is the big leagues, Mira. Way above your understanding. I nodded slowly. And you signed contracts? Preliminary agreements. Full contracts next week. He pushed the divorce settlement closer. Which is why we need to finalize this now. Before the money hits. Clean break. Vanessa's laugh was crystalline. Imagine if you'd waited. You might have actually gotten something substantial. Bad timing, Mira. I picked up the pen. My phone rang. The screen showed James Sterling mobile. Derek's face went chalk white. That's... He stared at my phone. How do you have James Sterling's personal number? I answered. Hi, Dad. The conference room temperature seemed to drop 10 degrees. Sweetheart. My father's voice carried that warm authority that made boards of directors straighten their spines. Your mother wants to know if you're still coming to dinner Sunday. She's making your favorite. I'll be there. I kept my eyes on Derek's face. He'd gone beyond pale, almost gray. Actually, Dad, I'm in a meeting right now. About Derek's divorce settlement. Is he behaving himself? Offering me $40,000. Silence on the line. Then, I see. And the Sterling Tower contracts he's negotiating. He says they're almost finalized. Interesting. Since I'm looking at those very contracts on my desk. They require my signature as board chairman, along with yours as executive vice president of acquisitions. He paused. Should I sign them, Mira? Derek had stood up. His chair rolled backward, hitting the wall. Let me call you back, Dad. Of course. Give my regards to Derek. Tell him I'm looking forward to our meeting next week. I have some questions about his proposal. Another pause. Particularly the budget allocations that seem inflated by roughly 40%. I hung up. Vanessa was staring at me, then Derek, then back. What just happened? Mira, Derek's voice cracked. Your father is James Sterling? The James Sterling. Sterling Properties Holdings. Yes. I set my phone on the table. Though he recently merged his company with Chin Development Group, my mother's family business. Sterling Chin Properties. We finalized that last year. Mitchell had gone very still. Chin Development. The multinational firm. My mother's family has been in real estate development for 3 generations. Shanghai, Hong Kong, San Francisco, Seattle. I looked at Derek. I grew up in boardrooms. I have an MBA from Wharton and a law degree from Stanford. Both while we were married. You said you were taking online classes for a certificate program. Derek's words came out strangled. I was taking classes online. You never asked what kind. I pulled out my laptop, a beat-up Dell I'd used throughout law school. I didn't lie, Derek. I just didn't correct your assumptions. Your volunteer work. I work for Sterling Chin Properties. Vice President of Community Development and Acquisitions. The nonprofit is our charitable foundation. I run it. I opened a file. I also sit on 7 corporate boards and manage a portfolio worth approximately $400 million. Personal holdings, separate from my parents. Vanessa made a sound like air escaping a tire. The Sterling Tower project? I pulled up the contracts. I've been reviewing proposals for 8 months. Your initial submission was rejected because it was derivative, over budget, and frankly showed a fundamental misunderstanding of sustainable urban development. Derek grabbed the edge of the table. When you came to look at the initial designs, you said you were interested as a resident. I was evaluating your work. You showed me plans that cut corners on accessibility, ignored environmental impact studies, and allocated 30% over market rate for materials. I scrolled through my notes. Your numbers didn't add up because you padded them, assuming no one would check closely. That's not. I didn't. You did. I have emails, documentation, your own projections. I looked at Mitchell. Which brings me to why I'm actually here. Not for the divorce settlement. My attorneys will handle that separately. I'm here to inform Derek that Sterling Chin Properties is declining his revised proposal. No. Derek's voice rose. No, you can't. They told me it was approved. The board voted. The board voted to proceed with the Sterling Tower project. Not with your firm. I pulled up another file. We're going with Chun and Associates. Better design, sustainable materials, community-focused retail spaces. And they came in 20% under your quote. Vanessa grabbed Derek's arm. Do something. You said this was guaranteed. Chun and Associates. Derek's eyes were wild. That's your mother's firm. Technically, it's mine now. She retired last year. Gave me controlling shares for my 30th birthday. I closed my laptop. Derek, you spent 6 years working with Sterlington Properties. Every major contract you closed? I reviewed it. I approved it. My signature is on every single agreement that made your career. His knees buckled. He sat down hard. The Morrison Building? I greenlit that. The Riverside Plaza? Mine. The Hartley and Cross expansion that made you partner? I smiled. I suggested it to my father over dinner. Told him you showed promise and deserved a chance. Why? The word came out broken. Why would you hide this? I wasn't hiding. I was living my life. Working my job. Being myself. I stood. You assumed I was nothing because I dressed simply and didn't name drop. You saw a quiet woman who preferred nonprofit work to cocktail parties and decided that meant I was less than. You thought wrong. About everything. I collected my things. The divorce? You can have it. I never wanted your money, Derek. I have my own. Mira, wait. Please. He reached for me. We can fix this. I made a mistake. Vanessa means nothing. Oh, I'm nothing now. Vanessa's voice pitched to a shriek. Derek, I looked at him. Really looked at the man I'd loved. You told me I was nothing without you. That I had no career, no assets, no potential. You were half right. I have nothing without you. Nothing but my education, my company, my portfolio, and my family's legacy. Mitchell cleared his throat. Ms. Chun, regarding the settlement, my attorneys will be in touch. I expect you'll find my demands significantly different from Derek's generous $40,000. I moved toward the door. Also, Derek, that Rolex? It was my family's company that manufactured the components for the limited edition series. We own 30% of the parent company. I paused at the door. One more thing. Your firm, Hartley and Cross? You rent your office space from one of our subsidiary companies. Lease comes up for renewal next month. I smiled. I'll be reviewing that personally. The last thing I heard as the door closed was Vanessa screaming at Derek, and Derek's voice, small and shattered. I didn't know. I swear to God, I didn't know. My father's office occupied the entire top floor of the Sterlington Tower, the original one, built by my grandfather in 1987. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked Elliott Bay. On clear days, you could see the Olympics. Today, storm clouds gathered over the water. He really offered you $40,000? My mother sat in the leather chair beside my father's desk, teacup balanced perfectly on her knee. Even at 62, Len Chun commanded rooms with a glance, and said I should be grateful. I accepted the tea she poured for me. Jasmine, from the set my grandmother had brought from Shanghai. The audacity. My father shook his head. I hired that boy fresh out of college. Gave him opportunities. And he thought you were some charity case he'd rescued. He saw what he wanted to see, Dad. Someone small. Someone grateful. Someone who wouldn't challenge him. My mother's eyes narrowed. And the mistress? The one who called you unemployed. Vanessa, marketing consultant. She thought she was trading up. Foolish girl. My mother sipped her tea. What are you going to do? I'd been asking myself that question for 8 weeks. Since Derek filed for divorce. Since he brought his mistress to mediation. Since he made it clear he thought I was nothing, worth nothing, contributed nothing, meant nothing. The truth? I don't know yet. I set down my teacup. Part of me wants to destroy him. Cancel his contracts, evict his firm, make sure every developer in the city knows what he did. And the other part, my father asked gently. The other part remembers who I am. What we built this company to be. I looked at them both. Grandpa started with nothing. He came to this country and worked 18-hour days because he wanted to build something that mattered. Not just wealth, but legacy. Community. How? My mother used my Chinese name. Your grandfather would be proud of the woman you've become. Would he? I hid who I was for 6 years. Let Derek think I was something I wasn't. Did you? My father leaned forward. Or did you simply live authentically while Derek created fantasies? I thought about that. About the woman I'd been in my marriage. Working at the foundation, managing investments, sitting on boards. All while Derek assumed I was playing at charity work. I'd never lied. Never pretended to be less than I was. I'd just never corrected his assumptions. What do you want to do about the divorce settlement? My mother asked. Nothing punitive. I'll take half of our joint assets, which is mostly what I brought in anyway. The condo can be his. I never liked it. I smiled. But the Hartley and Cross lease? That needs revision. Market rate went up. They've been getting a discount because of Derek. Fair. My father made a note. And Derek himself? My mother's voice was carefully neutral. He lost the Sterling Tower project. That's consequences enough. I stood, walked to the windows. Below, the city stretched out in grays and blues. But Mom, Dad, I want to hire him. Silence behind me. Then my father. Explain. Derek's good at what he does. His designs are ambitious, creative. He's just gotten lazy. Started cutting corners because no one challenged him. I turned. I want to bring him on as a junior architect. Entry-level position. He works his way up like everyone else. You want to make him work for you. My mother's eyes gleamed. I want to give him the chance to become the person I thought he was. The person he could still be. I met her gaze. Grandpa believed in second chances. You both gave me second chances when I messed up. Derek deserves that option. And if he refuses, my father asked. Then he refuses. But I'll have offered. That's enough. The offer letter went out 3 days later. Standard junior architect position. Salary of $68,000, good money, but a fraction of his partner income. No corner office. No company car. No expense account. Derek called at 6:43 a.m. the next morning. Is this a joke? His voice was raw. You're offering me an entry-level position? I'm offering you a job. What you make of it is up to you. After everything, after humiliating me, you think I'll work for you? I think you're a talented architect who forgot why he got into this business. I'm offering you a chance to remember. I poured my coffee. The Sterling Tower project is still happening, Derek. With or without you. But if you want to be part of something meaningful instead of just profitable, this is your opportunity. I had my own firm. I was a partner. You were a partner in a firm that's losing its lease because you can't make rent without our discount. Mitchell already called me. Hartley and Cross is dissolving. Your partner took the clients and merged with another company. I paused. Derek, you're going to need a job. This is a good one. Silence on the line. Then, why are you doing this? Because 6 years ago, I loved you. And somewhere under the ego and the mistakes, there's still a person worth believing in. I set down my coffee. But Derek, this is the only offer. Take it or don't. Either way, I'm done letting you define me. He took the job. 6 months later, I stood in the Sterling Tower construction site, hard hat on, reviewing structural plans with the site manager. Derek was there too, taking notes, asking questions, actually listening instead of performing. He'd lost weight. The arrogance had burned away, leaving something quieter, humbler, maybe better. Ms. Chun. He approached after the meeting. I wanted to show you the revised plans for the accessibility features. I think I found a way to improve the wheelchair access without compromising the aesthetic. I reviewed his sketches. They were good. Better than good. This works. Submit it to the full team. Thank you. He hesitated. Mira, I want to apologize. For everything. The way I treated you, the things I said. Vanessa, Derek. I looked at him. You're doing good work. That's enough. We don't need to rehash the past. But I need you to know I understand now. What I threw away. Who you really are. I'm the same person I always was. You just weren't paying attention. I handed back his plans. Keep designing like this. That's the apology I actually want. He nodded. Walked away. Got back to work. I watched him go. This man I'd loved, who'd thought I was nothing, who was learning what everything actually meant. My phone buzzed. My mother, texting from Shanghai. Board approved the Hong Kong expansion. When can you visit to review sites? I smiled. Type back. Next month. After we break ground on Sterling Tower. Above me, the skeleton of our building rose into the Seattle sky. My grandfather's legacy. My mother's vision. My project to complete. Derek had been right about one thing. I was nothing without him. Nothing but myself. And that had always been enough. The quiet woman he'd underestimated was the same woman who'd built an empire while he wasn't looking. I didn't need revenge. I had something better. I had my name on every contract. My vision shaping the skyline. My family's legacy growing stronger. And I had the knowledge that I'd never been small. I'd just been standing next to someone too blind to see me. The foundation poured next week. The tower would rise. And my name, Mira Chun, would be carved in the cornerstone. Not as Derek's wife. Not as someone's shadow. As myself. Finally, completely, absolutely myself. And that was the only victory that mattered.